I want to tell you about the Boston Marathon. So please just give me like 3 hours of your day. Okay, just kidding. But 4 things really quick. 1, I'm gonna cut this video into chapters so you can just manipulate space-time as you see fit. Number 2, I'm not gonna talk about the training, the expo, the race day logistics. I'll spare you from the boring bits, the bits and bolts. I'll spare you from those too. Number 3, the chapters are as follows. Number 1, this absolutely just fascinating introduction that we're doing right now. Number 2, if you're new to the channel. Number 3, the game plan going into the Boston Marathon. Number 4, the mile by mile splits. Number 5, my post-race thoughts and takeaways. Okay, and this finale. And number 6, closing thoughts on the sub 3. Let's get into it. So if you're new to the channel, why does this chapter exist? Because it never occurs to me when I make YouTube videos that people who aren't subscribers are going to watch it. So, hi, my name is Andrew Poza. And one of my absolute favorite things to do is to sit down into these shots when I make YouTube videos. Now, I started running 5 years ago at the age of 40, hence the name Midlife Runner. I ran because it was COVID, and really, I just didn't want to die. And I was successful at that because here I am. Am I not? I never wanted to run a marathon. That was never the plan. I certainly never wanted to race one. And if I had to bet $1 or like a punch in the stomach, I was probably like a 4-hour marathoner at best. Anyway, I've been documenting the whole journey on YouTube, mostly because it's a creative outlet for me to make dumb jokes. I've been telling stories my whole life.
The power of Sprite compels you. Obey your thirst, demon.
Yeah, no, I didn't say that they were good stories or meaningful whatsoever, but they were a good time. Anyway, somewhere along the way, I fell in love with running. And I think it was because I realized you can get faster at any age, no matter when you start, and that I was relatively fast for a mid-lifer. I ran in Chicago in 2022, October. I ran a 3-hour, 11-minute marathon. And because I had been watching so much of Kofuzi's videos and his attempts to break sub 3, I decided as a fellow mid-lifer, I think I'm gonna break 3. So in the fall of 2023, I made a series on this channel called Breaking 3. I'll put it at the end of the video or down in the description below so you can check it out. But spoiler alert, I did not break 3 for that marathon, the Houston Marathon in January of 2024. I ran 3 hours, 2 minutes, and 24 seconds, which qualified me for this Boston Marathon in 2025. Also important to note, I ran 2 marathons after that. I did a revenge marathon at the Woodlands, and I did not get revenge. The marathon got me, does not owe me anything. I ran a 3:08 at the Woodlands, then I overtrained in the fall for the Marine Corps Marathon, and I ran a 3:10. So never broken 3 in the marathon. Let's get to my approach to the Boston Marathon. All right, for the goals in the approach, let's talk about it. For the approach, I was going to run by effort, run by feel. For the goal, I only had one goal. There's one goal. It's to do one thing. It's actually to not do one thing, and that one thing I didn't want to do was to start out too fast. Not recommended for the marathon, generally speaking, but also in Boston, because the first 4 or 5 miles are a lot of downhill. Now, there's some rollers up, but it's a lot of downhill. And if you go out too fast, you damage the quads, you get to the Newton Hills, and you got nothing left. Just didn't want to make that mistake. Oh, and by the way, when I say run by effort, guys, and feel, I don't mean I was gonna easy run it or run on vibes. Boston is a celebration, and that's cool if that's how you want to run it. That's not how I wanted to run it. I just meant I'm not gonna run by pace, because I'm going down a hill and say my target pace was 6:45 or 6:35 or whatever it is. What's it supposed to be on this grade that I'm going down the hill? Should I see 6:15? Is that too fast? Now I'm going up a heartbreak. Should I be seeing 7:05, 7:15? How am I supposed to adjust? I've never run those hills. I've never run Boston. So this is not a big ask for me. I train by effort. I know my marathon pace effort. So the goal to start the race was to go into high gray zone, low marathon pace effort for the first 5 to 6 miles. And then from mile 6 to 16 before the Newton Hills, really settle into true marathon pace effort. It's still rollers, it's even out. It doesn't really even out, this is just rollers, right? There's a lot of elevation up and down. Then at the Newton Hills, put in a little bit more effort. The pace is probably not gonna come down a lot because that's where all the gain is. That was my approach. And then of course, after the hills, just you run with your heart. Okay guys, let's talk about the race. And before we do, let me set the scene for you, okay? It's so much more dramatic when I do this. It really, you can almost picture it when I set the scene with that. It was warm. It was warm, guys. The sun was out. It was sneaky. It was sneaky warm. And when I say that, I know everyone who ran in 2024 is gonna get in the comments and shit all over me. They'll be like, no, you don't know anything about heat. I'm from San Antonio. I know plenty about the heat. Trust me, it was sneaky warm. The sun was out.
Cardboard's out.
Sun derivatives.
Cardboard derivatives.
X-rays. X-rays are out.
Like paper? No paper.
Gamma.
No string, no sellotape.
UV. UV's out. It was 52 degrees at the start, okay? And by the time I hit 5K, it was up towards 58. So it was sneaky warm because the sun was out. Did I mention that the sun was out? By the way, guys, this hat right here, Peak Stride, saved my life, okay? Code welcome10 in the description below. Peak Stride. It's my YouTube son, Connor. Go support him. This hat, it's a lifesaver. All right, and then lastly, to set the stage on where your boy was at the beginning when I started. My wife hates when I say your boys. So the elites, they go out at 9:37. It's a perfectly arbitrary time of 9:37. The first wave goes out at 10 o'clock. There are 8 corrals in each wave. And not your boy, Midlife Runner, was starting at wave 2, corral 1, which means I was up at the front. Now, why am I telling you this? Because most runners, their Boston Marathon experience, when you start, it's a 2-lane road and it's very crowded. So you're gonna go out and you're not gonna have a lot of room to move or to go faster. Like the pace would be kind of set for like 4 or 5 miles before it really opens up. That was not my experience. And I knew it wasn't gonna be my experience because I knew my wave and corral long before I flew to Boston to run this race, which is why in training, I practiced the disciplined approach of going out in a high gray zone, low marathon pace effort because the world would have been my oyster. All right, so for like mile 1, you just shoot off downhill. It's a pretty steep downhill, but within that first mile, there's actually 43 feet of gain. So they say the first 4 miles are largely downhill, and they are, but there's a lot of up in each of them too. And so it's like a roll, there's rollers. And the whole course, just think, there's rollers everywhere you go. There's no flat section of the course. They say, then it flattens out from 6 to 16. It does. There's rollers, and some of those miles have more gain than they have loss. And then after the Newton Hills, oh yeah, you can make up a lot of time with this, a lot of down. And it is, but it's also a lot of up. Okay, so don't get in your mind, if you're gonna run Boston, that you're ever gonna run on anything flat. It's rollers through. First mile, 6:23, effort to plan. Mile 2, 85 feet down, 23 feet up for a 6:41 a mile. Mile 3 was 89 feet down, 30 feet up for a 6:40. Now, mile 4, 59 feet down, 0 gain for a 6:32 mile. All right, now at this point, guys, I'm starting to math, and that's not something I normally try to do. I have an English degree, and I'm starting to feel a little sad, a touch disappointed. Some micro grief is creeping in because you see, in training, I know what marathon pace effort has yielded. It's like 6:23, 6:24 pace. And the heat and the humidity, 6:33, 6:34, somewhere around there. That's what my splits used to say. So I was hoping somewhere in the back of this head that when I was going down these hills at the beginning, that I would be seeing 6:20, 6:15, maybe even a 6:10 in there would be nice. And I wasn't seeing that. Now, to clarify, yes, I did look at my watch throughout the Boston Marathon. I ran the Austin International Half by feel, and I was trying not to look at my watch the entire time. This time, I did. When I say I run by feel or by effort, I'm allowing myself to see my splits, but I'm not allowing those splits to inform how I run. So I didn't see something and be like, oh, I gotta speed up. Ooh, no, I gotta slow down. I am just running by effort. I'm acknowledging what I'm running. I'm not happy about it necessarily, but I'm running by effort. All right, something happened interesting in mile 5. It's 39 down, 49 feet up. I ran a 6:48, but I noticed my heart rate. I had it set to heart rate 2, just looking at that. It said 171 beats a minute on average. My magic number, where I burn matches that I try to stay under, is 173. I know on race day, the heart rate gets a little bit elevated. I'm not too worried about it. But here's the thing about Boston. Okay, the thing that I did that I never do and have never done in a race is I stepped off the course at the water station and I drank it and poured it on my head and I waited for 13 seconds and I treated it like an interval. And here's why. Because sometimes I've noticed in the 5 years that I've been running and training, if I just jump into some work and I don't get a proper warm up, my heart rate gets up there and it doesn't really have time, it's not warmed up. But when I stop for an interval, the heart rate comes down. And then when I get into the work again, the heart rate seems to be a little bit lower. And if you're running the Boston Marathon, it's not a whole lot of room or time to warm up. So when our wave goes down to the start line from Athletes Village, I was able to get a jog in there and move the legs a little bit, but I wasn't ready for a straight into marathon pace. So by going off to the side with the water and getting back into the race after 13 seconds down, my heart rate settled a bit. So I guess it was technically mile 6. It was after I crossed mile 5 when I stopped for the water, because mile 6 was 56 down, 36 up for a 6:53, which really would have been like a 6:40, but I took that extra time to reset and go. And the heart rate was like 168. It had dropped. All right, mile 7, 20 feet down, 10 feet of gain. It was a 6:37, starting to feel better about the race, settling in. All right, for mile 8, I just want to echo what I said earlier, is that for mile, they say it evens out after the first 5 miles, and it does a little bit, but it doesn't really. Like, there's rollers all the way. You just have to think that you're going to be going down and up, and some of them have more gain. For example, mile 8, I think it was 33 feet down, but like 46 feet of gain, and I ran that mile at 6:45. I did not like to see that 6:45. Mile 9, 23 feet up, 33 feet down, 6:45. I really did not like to see that 6:45. Mile 10, 20 feet down, 33 feet of gain for a 6:45. Oh, this is when it all changed. The negativity crept in, just suddenly, catastrophizer, pow, Floberg. Love Floberg. 2 things I love about Floberg. Well, I love a lot of Floberg, but here's 2 things that I love the most. Running inspiration videos. Okay, love to see more of those if you can, my man. Secondly, the doubt. He always covers the doubt in his marathon race recaps. At some point in the marathon, doubt creeps in. Can I do this? Can I hold this pace? What's going on? And he talks about it's very human. And this is where I experienced it, this third 6:45, because reality and expectation were not meeting. First of all, this wasn't flat. This was not evening out in the middle section of the course. Secondly, in training, I was seeing 6:20s, and long story short, I ran a marathon in training on a nice cool day on a flat course in 2 hours, 53 minutes, and 45 seconds. So going into Boston, I thought, even though I didn't have like a time goal, like 250 was possible. I mean, whatever I ran, but I thought 255 was possible. The thought never had even occurred to me that I might not break sub 3. And here I was running barely sub 3 pace on the first half, the easier half of the course before I got to the hills. I had never even considered that I might not run sub 3 up until that moment. So what did I do? I sulked in self-pity. Mile 11. Mile 11 is the worst, guys. It is 7 down, 33 up. It's like 26 feet of gain. It's the worst. It's right in the middle. It's terrible. My wife calls me, right? And I did not sound like a very strong man in that moment. I'm just like, the world's ending. She somehow managed to stick her hand through the phone and slap my big chin. And it's like, fight. Go get it. The words, you still have 15 miles to run. And as my watch ticked over a 7:06 for mile 11, I realized, like, she was right. I'm only going to flirt barely under 3 if I maintain this same effort that I've been running since the start. But this wasn't the effort-based plan I had to begin with anyway. I was just going with the flow, because when you run Boston, there's just people behind you all the way to the front. You're just running with people all along, and I was just kind of in this flow. I wasn't executing the race. So I was like, yeah, I can totally pick up the pace. And that's exactly what I did. Mile 12 was 72 feet down, 23 feet up, for a 6:28. Mile 13 was 30 feet down and 43 feet of gain for I think a 6:37 mile. And then I crossed the halfway point in 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 12 seconds. And I don't even remember when I took my Ketone IQ shooter with caffeine. It was somewhere along here. I just saw an empty bottle on the ground. I was like, oh yeah, I have that. I usually take that halfway there. So ADD gets the best of me sometimes. Mile 14, 33 feet down, 20 feet up for a 6:42. Now, we're gonna sidestep here. We're gonna just real quick to the nutrition. When I started the race, I had a Precision Fuel and Hydration, some mixed in with some water, 60 grams of carbs, and I have a hodgepodge, a potpourri of different gels, Cis, 40 gram Beta Fuel, Go Gels, Huma Chia. I ate every morning that was on the course that they handed to me. I was just a monster. I took every 3 miles and also what they gave me and also the ketone. If they had slices of pizza, I would have been eating them. I'm learning that I've got the stomach of an ultra runner, the mental fortitude of a toddler, but the gut of an ultra runner. So I took those down. Oh, and lastly, I take Creagums. I take creatine, okay? Creatine monohydrate. Not much of a running influencer, okay? Ketone IQ doesn't send me stuff. I'm like the only guy on the internet. Ketone IQ doesn't send Ketone IQ shots. These creatine gummies, okay? You don't need a code for these either. I don't have a midlife code for these Creagums. Because it's a free sample, you could just go, I'll put a link below, and then you can get these for free, like I did as a sample pack. Anyway, they're delicious, and I take creatine. Does that help me in this marathon? I don't know. Does the ketone help? I don't know. Do the gels help? I think so. I just take them. I just take them all, and I don't ask questions. Not a smart man, Jenny. Mile 15, 10 feet down, 43 feet of gain. I ran that 6:40. I'm feeling fresh now. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling peppy. People are starting slow. You know why? Because it's warm. It's warm out there, guys. The sun's out and it's beating down on people. Water. I took water in every single station, 1 cup at least, and dumped it on my head. What'd I lose? 30 seconds? A minute? Worth it, because it was hot. Did I mention that it was warm? Because it was warm. 60 degrees. It's not 40 degrees, scientifically speaking, okay? That's all I'm saying. Oh, and at some point I was wearing the Fit Kafuzi Run Club singlet, the black one. Super light, super breathable, but I was drenched. I was pouring so much water on and it was sticking to me and it was a little uncomfortable. And when I run in like 7 months out of the year, I'm full choy, okay? I'm shirtless. I'm just running around with the heart rate strap. So I took the singlet off, but I still needed it because it had my bib on it, which has the chip on it, which I need when I go over the timing mechanism. So I was just holding it in my hand. Mile 16, this is a fun one. This is my most fun mile. 118 feet down, like 7 feet of gain. I ran a 6:20, and I'm gonna tell you, that was just surfing the wave. That was just moving in the unforced rhythm of grace. I was not pounding that hill because I knew that the Newton Hills were coming. Mile 7, 30 feet down, 92 feet of gain. We've entered the Newton Hills. People are slowing down already. People are walking. And let me tell you something. Let me go on the record for the Newton Hills. If you are watching this and you are going to be running Boston, if you live on hilly terrain and you train regularly on hilly terrain, steady effort, long runs with some marathon pace work in it, bombing down some hills, the Newton Hills are cute. Mile 17, like my pace was a 6:49. And I honestly was like, this is it. I don't know why I built it up so big in my head. And if I would have done what Floberg did, which last year, which was get into Boston, go out there and run the hill so I could see them, I might have even been a little bit more aggressive at the start. But I mean, thank God I wasn't, but still. If they're not, you'll be okay. If you train on a lot of hills, you'll be okay. Mile 18, 23 feet down, 75 feet of gain. I ran that in a 6:43. I'm beside myself at this point. I'm hitting these sub 3 paces. I'm just this is like me running in my training runs through the hills I normally run on. Like this is it. Like I'm feeling very confident. I'm starting to feel more confident about the sub 3 as I hit these hills. Okay, mile 19, 46 down, only 13 up. This is a little hidden gem in the Newton Hills. Mile 19, I ran this one in a 6:36. And you know, it was really at this point where it was settling in, like, not only am I holding sub 3 pace, I'm gaining on sub 3 pace. Like I'm making up more time. So when is this going to get hard? I kept waiting for it to get hard. Like Iron Man 2, I just kept waiting for the movie to start to take off, and then it just ended. And I was like, I'm running here, I'm at mile 19, I'm feeling good, I'm knocking down these hills, and I'm just like, when is this course going to get hard? Mile 20, 52 down, 68 up. Okay, that third hill's a real motherfucker. It is. That, I think it's the third hill, but I mean, I can see where people make a fuss about it. Legs started to feel it on that one. The mile split for that mile 20, was a 6:48. So I'm still running sub 3 pace, even on the hills. Well, except for mile 21. Okay, that's Heartbreak Hill. I don't know what it is, like 16 feet down, 112 up. It's a lot, it's a big mile. I ran a 7:06, got a little burst of energy from a man Kuvang there, screaming out for me. And I will say this, crowds are insane. There are not crowds dense the entire way because you're running through all these small towns, but they're so fervent. Word of the day, fervent. They're just so energetic and enthusiastic. The whole town, I don't want to go off on a tangent too much, but it was loud. I had my headphones in and I wasn't listening to music just to sort of mute some of that noise because it was still so loud. If you called out for me, and I've seen some of you guys very nice sending the clips of you screaming wanker at me, wanker! I couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear my wife. I couldn't hear anybody screaming at me except for Kuvek on that moment. And I turned and I saw him, and we crested Heartbreak Hill with a 7:06 pace. Okay, so for mile 22, it's 108 feet down and 30 feet up. Now this makes a lot of sense. Okay, you went up Heartbreak Hill, you're gonna come down Heartbreak Hill. You're gonna make up for all of that time. So trust that when you're cruising up Heartbreak Hill, you don't need to push it too much because you will make up time in the back. That mile for me was a 6:23. My legs felt great. I did see a lot of people grabbing at their legs, walking. The hills did a number on a lot of people on that particular day. We'll get more into that later. Okay, mile 23, 62 feet down, maybe like 16 feet of gain coming back up. I ran this one in a 6:38, and then I made the only mistake maybe of the time is I looked at my watch and I saw that I was at 2 hours and 34 minutes, and I started to math. 3 miles left to go at roughly a 7-minute pace. It's a 2:55 plus the 0.2. I'm looking at about a 2:55, 2:56, something like that. But I wasn't thinking 2:55. I was just thinking 3. I was still thinking sub 3. So I was like, oh, I've got sub 3 in the back. But my regret is that, not that I looked at my watch, is that I allowed my watch to dictate my pace. Because at that point, I was like, oh, and I've heard, and I'm running by people who are cramping. I'm running by people who are slowing down. And I'm like, I don't want that to happen to me. I got sub 3 in the bag. Let me just take it down a notch. That's exactly what I did. Mile 24 was 66 feet down, 13 feet up, and I think I ran that in about a 6:48. I'm just cruising and taking in the crowds. I think probably cruising through Brookline at this point, starting to feel the victory. Mile 25, 46 feet down, 0 feet of elevation up. I ran that in a 6:46. Mile 26, 33 feet down, 46 feet of gain. I ran that in a 6:49. Again, I will say this over and over. Rollers all the way. Rollers in the beginning, rollers in the middle, rollers at the end. Yes, it's mostly down at the beginning and it's mostly down at the end, but there's still some up. This one is like notorious. The underpass at the end, Boston Strong, you go under the overpass and you come up. Nasty little booger. Nasty little booger. But we did 6:49. We're still in cruise control here. All right, right on to Hereford, left on to Boylston. Oh, so iconic. You know, I didn't know that Hereford is actually an incline. Had no idea. I laughed. Took a ride on Hereford. I was like, of course. Of course. For some reason, I thought I was gonna just sprint finish, barrel through or whatever, right? I did an airplane number, but then I saw it was up, I just started laughing. I was like, whatever, this is great. I take a left. I cannot describe to you that experience in the crowds. I cannot find the words. I'm not even gonna try on Substack. I'm not. It's just something that I hope everyone gets to experience who loves running because it is very magical. When I took a left onto Boylston and I'm cruising down. Now, I've pictured this, and I don't know about you, but whenever I'm training and I'm getting ready for a marathon, I visualize the ending. And guys, honestly, it's very dramatic. It's so dramatic. I'm the hero in the hero's journey. So I'm obviously about to hit my A goal in these scenarios, and I see the clock and it's slowly ticking. Floberg running inspo, slow motion. I just come in underneath my A goal time as like 1 or 2 seconds before, and I'm crying. I just start screaming a real lion's roar, and I drop down into burpees, and it's just like the best day ever. Well, expectation and reality didn't hit, because in my scenario, when I'm picturing, by the way, is that just me? Okay, am I the only one who pictures this? Okay. I think that when I get onto Boylston and I go down, they're gonna have a clock. They're gonna have one clock. And that clock's gonna be when the pros start or when the first wave starts. And it's gonna be 25 or like 35 minutes ahead of my clock. And I know me, we've covered this many times now, I'm not doing subtraction at full sprint. I'm not gonna be able to see a clock and subtract 25 minutes from it while I'm running. Well, I was surprised to see when I turned left onto Boylston, as I got closer, there's 2 clocks. 2 clocks in Boston. They got the one for the red wave that started 25 minutes earlier. They had one for the white. So I could see 2:55, 45 or whatever, right? And I was like, oh, I'll probably run a 2:56. Easy. Right? There's no way I can cover this distance in 15 seconds. And as I'm running closer towards it, and it's just like, you know, I'm passing people, the crowds are crazy. I'm seeing 2:56.15, 2:56.20, and I'm thinking like 2:56.25, and I'm like, am I gonna run 2:56 or 2:57? Because the Boston finish area, the finish line, it's so big, it feels closer than it is. And I thought that I could clear that distance faster than I actually could. Either way, it didn't matter. I ran as hard as I could, and I crossed the line in 2:56.37. All right, so we did it, guys. And I just want to say so much thanks for everyone who's been so supportive and so too kind. You guys have been too kind, true to form for the running community over the last couple of years. Appreciate you coming on the journey and giving me the words of encouragement. I've said this before, I'm a words of affirmation guy, so it does go a long way, and I really do appreciate it. Now let's get to the takeaways and then some final thoughts on the sub-3 journey. Okay, so the first takeaway, I'm gonna say the first half of the race, I ran it in 1:28.12. The second half of the race, I ran in 1:28.25. Pacing wise, this is called even splits, but because of the nature of the course, running by effort, it was like a negative split effort pace. Corals has this thing called effort pace, and you can look and say, you know, it factors in all the hills and stuff. And so basically I put in more effort in the back half, and it still came out like even pacing. Regarding the pacing, some of you guys on Strava, I saw a lot of comments. Somebody said it was surgical. Another much faster runner than me, much faster, called it a work of art pacing. My ego really liked that one, Marcus. Thank you. Jokes aside, Matt Fitzgerald, he's written many books. One of the books he wrote, I read recently, it's called On Pace. And what I learned from that book, pacing is a skill. And what I think I learned from the Boston Marathon is that I have that skill. Takeaway number 2, you are what you eat and you run what you ran. In training, you run what you ran, okay? And I ran a lot of hills in the hill country of South Texas in training. So, coached by Matt Fox, SweatElite Coaching Academy. Yes, we did, 10 times 20-second hill sprints, 10 times 10-second hill sprints there. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is long runs. Talk about practice, we're talking about long runs, okay? Yes, practicing the long run. I would go 6 miles up and then just 6 miles down, 10K down, marathon pace effort, mile float, another 10K, mostly downhill, trash the quads. First time I did that, a little bit sore. 3 weeks later, when I did that same type of workout, I was less sore. I trained on it. I would do 860 feet of gain, the entire gain of the Boston Marathon in 18 miles, holding a steady effort, like a Fitzinger long run type of deal, where it's faster than easy, but not quite marathon pace. And I would just hold that effort on those hills. And what it resulted in was very strong legs and endurance running in the Boston Marathon. Takeaway number 3, I think I over-tapered. I decided also, the whole approach to the Boston Marathon was very conservative. Because I overtrained for the Marine Corps Marathon in October, I trained a lot less going into here. I did 7 80-mile weeks in that last build. I did like 4 80-mile weeks in this build. I did a 3-week taper instead of a 2-week taper. I got the phantom runner's knee maybe 10 or 11 days out from the race. I took an additional 2 days off. So I really cut down my volume. Maybe that's what my legs needed in order to handle the Boston course. I don't know, but I do think that I over-tapered. Okay, takeaway number 4 is that there is a feeling that I left a little bit out there. And I think that means I had a very successful race. Because I think when people say, yeah, you know, I could have been faster here or there, those are people who have run very successful races, because nobody races a perfect race. Now, I will say every day that has gone by since running the Boston Marathon, it's been like 5 days now, the more proud I am of the effort. So for context, my bib number was 9396, which means in order to qualify for Boston, everybody has these qualifying times. I was the 9,396th fastest person by time. And everybody who had a bib number lower than me ran a faster time to qualify. All in front of me, faster people. But I finished 3,600 and whatever. And I know not everybody who runs Boston is trying to run it really fast. They're not training for it. They're not giving it a go. Some people run it as a celebration, but still 6,000 plus people. And for my age group, I was in the top 10%, and Boston already is a top whatever percent, 10 or 12% of runners anyway. So I'm just relative to my peers. I was like, oh, you know, I had a good day. Takeaway number 5, just really briefly, I already talked about it on mile 23 going into 24. I wish I did not look at my watch. I don't mind that I looked at my watch. I just wish I didn't adjust my pace to cruise in the last 3. I think I did a disservice to the marathon by not giving it my all. Takeaway number 6, I did learn from my mistakes last time for the Marine Corps Marathon when I overtrained. And I just already mentioned how everything that I did in this block was much more conservative leading up to it, and even in the race strategy start and even at the end. But what that yielded was a very calculated, methodical, incredibly strong, disciplined run, which I am very proud of. Takeaway number 7 and takeaway number 8, the Boston Marathon is a marathoner's marathon, whatever that means, right? It's a challenging course, and I love it. I think I'm good at hills. That's a takeaway for sure. I think I am good at hills. And I qualified to run it next year, but I'm not going to go back next year unless somebody sponsors me or gives me a bib or sends me out. I'm not holding my breath. I'm not much of a runfluencer, but I want someone else to experience the magic of Boston, and you can have my seat. There are plenty of other races that I can run that I'm sure I would enjoy. And, you know, possibly somebody who's never run it will run it, or somebody who has will take the seat. I don't know. I just know that I'm not going to run it again next year. Love to, but I'm not going to. All right, guys, we have been filming this for so long that the sun's going down over here. So we'll conclude this 4-hour video by talking about the sub-3 journey. I want to say, if you were trying to run a sub-3-hour marathon, I want you to shift your mindset into belief that you can do it, even if you're running 3:30, 3:40, whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you're a young buck, a stud, or if you started running later in life. I want to offer you some words of encouragement and belief that you can do it. Now, I would advise a coach getting some help. So I want to give some love right now. I'm going to say 2 more things. I'm going to give some love right now to the 2 coaches that helped me along the way, Hernan Rosenberg of Push the Pace Coaching and Matt Fox of SweatElite. I'll put their links in the description below. I'm also going to put a 3rd link down there, and that link is going to be called Stride and Shine Coaching. Can you guess whose website that is? That's right, me, your boy, Midlife Runner. I'm a coach now, or RCA certified, long time in the making, but now it's official. Now, if you're going for a sub 3, I don't have sub 3 plans. So I'm not telling you this so you can go buy a plan from me. I'm not interested in that. Those coaches I just mentioned helped me greatly on my journey, one-on-one coaching. And that's what I offer, one-on-one coaching. Now, I won't be able to take on a million people or anything like that, but that's not really the point. It's just to help other runners. So if that's something that you're interested in, you don't have to be on a sub 3 journey. You just have a goal, 345, whatever it is. You want to start running, let's run. I have it. I'm building a community. Coaching is more than just writing training plans, guys. Building a community. It's going to be a great time. Very excited about it. Check it out. If you're interested in it, reach out to me. It's never too late for greatness, guys.